عبد الرحيم. 1 2 تيست، مزيان عندك الصوت. تيست دو سون، تيست 1 2.
صباح الخير علا. Hola, can you hear us? Thank you. We started to hear you. Just we're trying to switch to another speaker. ممكن تكلمي يا علا بعد إذنك تاني؟
صباح الخير. بتمنى تكون يوم جميل. بتمنى يكون الصوت مسموع وواضح.
Now we can hear you. Just carry on again.
Okay.
This one.
صباح الخير.
صباح النور. We can hear you well and we can see you.
Okay.
So, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We're a bit delayed, but we should start soon.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm here. Thanks.
موجودين خمسة. أوكي. هذا خلي على الأسئلة.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning online. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for waiting. We're going to start and see how we get on. If you would like interpretation, I believe it's on, as yesterday, I'm guessing, the same channels. And I believe it was French was on one, English was on two.
I can't hear.
What's that mean? Was that Ola online? Were you saying you can't hear? I suppose you can't hear me saying that. Okay, good. Well, thanks. My name's Jim Robinson. I'm the co-coordinator of the Housing, Land and Property Area of Responsibility, which is part of the humanitarian coordination system, and it's supporting housing, land and property colleagues in 18 countries. And it's co-led by Norwegian Refugee Council and UN Habitat. And sort of our priority really in the humanitarian responses is about encouraging others to really consider the HLP issues. So in the shelter work they're doing, in the site management, WASH, anything that comes into contact with land in some way, we want them to ask the question, what's the impact of this on people's tenure security? Are we going to cause any problems further on without thinking about housing, land and property and doing our due diligence and understanding who has a claim to this land? So that's what we work on in the humanitarian context. And part of our argument is also that what we do in that crisis response has a massive impact on the longer term safety and security for affected people. So we try and also bridge between this emergency crisis response and then solutions and that longer term development. And that's where the work of our colleagues here today really comes in. So this morning we're going to focus on the impact of displacement and crisis and the role of housing, land and property in creating and working towards sustainable solutions that uphold people's dignity. Our presenters will explore diverse approaches to safeguarding HLP rights during crisis, and we'll hear about experiences from Yemen, Syria, Palestine, Egypt, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, and Gaza's Khan Yunis governorate. We'll hear about land use dynamics, the impact of escalating conflict on displacement, the potential of HLP-sensitive urban law to actually prevent violence, the role of cultural resilience for youth, and the challenges of land management under war. So it's very good to be with you. I mean, we're a smaller group in the room, but I think it'll be great to hear from each other about our work, and we'll adjust the timing slightly to reflect the later start. But yeah, first I'd invite Muslim Qazimi, who's the head of country program from Iraq and Yemen with UN Habitat, to come and present his work in Yemen. Yes. Now, I'll waive this when we have, so we've got 5 presenters, we've got about an hour, so if we do 10 minutes, and I'll waive this at you 2 minutes before.
I'll be faster than you think, and we'll make sure to complete it in time. Okay, good morning, everyone. As you mentioned, my name is Muslim Kazimi. I'm acting head of UN Habitat Yemen, but also I lead the program in Iraq. I've been working with Jim for quite many years on chairing the cluster, so we are familiar, but also my background is on HLP rights as well. Today I'm going to present a case and HLP issues and challenges we face in Yemen, which I'm sure it is challenging, interesting, but there is also a lot of opportunities. I don't know, Jim, if somebody is going to upload our presentation so I can walk the colleagues through what we do. Okay, it's here. Okay, so basically I'm going to present the case on how we have deployed the STDM, Social Tenure Domain Model, which is interesting and very useful tool that has been implemented and very successful story that has been implemented in Yemen. Do I operate with this one? I have it? Okay, so I guess, okay. But how? Yeah, green one, but it's not working. It's not working. Yeah. Pressing, but it's not working. Apologies, technical issues. But as you are, okay, now I got it, but I'm too far. Can I get back? Apparently it's reacting very late. Okay, until my, yeah, okay, so here is the remove, okay. And just to let you know that also Habitat in Yemen is not that has been a long time established its office. It's only in 2018. But we started with very sustainable program where basically we have done the urban profiling, a project that was really a key driver for also other UN and NGOs on understanding the issues related to Yemen. So it was really a very good approach and very helpful. And of course, with, we have a very different type of intervention, which I'm not going, because of the sake of time, I'm not explaining this. I'll go directly to the issues that we face in Yemen. And as I said, Yemen is a quite complex country in terms of housing, land, and property rights, which also has many relations with other countries as well, which I also work in Iraq, so it's almost similar. But you can see that, for example, we see that land is quite driver of conflict within the community and tensions between communities when it comes to HLP rights. Only 10 to 20% of the land is registered, while 80 to 90% of the land is basically through the informal transaction. And that creates a huge gap in terms of recording and evidencing HLP rights. It's a huge bureaucracy, a lot of paperwork for waiting maybe sometimes 1 to 2 years to get your ownership documentations. There are numerous of legislation, very contradicting, very complex, and often also the legislative system finds very difficulties in order to decide on the land rights. So the security of tenure is quite complex, and it is worsened also with the current and humanitarian situation that is going on in Iraq. There are also in Yemen. Also, there are social restriction, traditional norms, tribal laws and norms that really create a huge complex. I'm not saying Sharia law because often people mix with the Sharia law. The Sharia law gives a pure property rights to women and men, and that often is misinterpreted by the traditional norms in order to find a way on how to discriminate specifically women. As I said, I don't know, it's not moving, Jim. I want to just to give you a quick background on how the national system and how the complex and unstable is the land management history, which usually goes with, as I said, there is no national cadastral system. We have a cadastral system which is unfortunately very poor and all paper-based. Most of the documents and evidence that is existing in the cadastral offices are destroyed and damaged because of the war. There was also flooding before a few years, which also all the property documentation were destroyed. And Yemen is really facing a lot of issues. And of course, there is also conflict in areas between state entities Sometimes you will have some entities that rule basically the city or the governorate, while the official government have no role, and then often the documentation is subject to destruction or manipulation. The court system is overwhelmed with a lot of cases. There is a huge bottleneck. There is a huge gap in terms of judiciary system to address the HLP rights. And of course, it's also inadequate legal framework that protects HLP rights. This often is translated or converted into the forced evictions. Depends on the tribal that who is more powerful. Then they usually also evict forcibly IDPs and returnees, and specifically women, female-headed households are subject to this kind of forced eviction. Land grabbing is also a normal thing in Yemen, and it's something that we are very concerned, and we work on how to address that. We have a discrimination for women, and there is also a minority called Muhammadin who often are subject to the discrimination. But again, I want to highlight that it's also this discrimination due to the traditional and the cultural norms that discriminate the entities, not the legal system, not the Sharia law. Disputes are massive, and I would say that is around 70% of the disputes occurs because of the no proper legal system and no official system on addressing HLP rights. Among the drivers in conflict in Yemen, as you can see here, is the social cohesion, a weakened foundation for peace, lack of stabilization of anchors, impended peaceful coexistence, and also, as I said, the systematic discrimination. The approach on addressing the HLP rights, as I said, is a religious legal approach, customary, informal legal, and lack of knowledge. Often you will see that the government or the institutions that's supposed to address the HLP rights, to regulate the HLP rights, to resolve HLP rights, you will see that there are lack of information, lack of institutional knowledge, and often they complicate even worse the situation where many of the beneficiaries who seek assistance or support through the legal or institutional system, they will find out that they are basically ending up in more dispute or conflict. And it's something that due to the lack of knowledge. What we are doing in Yemen is basically we are now having a new project that started last year where we are trying to resolve many of the HLP issues and also evidence the HLP violations and helping the community and also the beneficiaries on resolving HLP rights through a different approach. It is quite institutional, but also it has an alternative way on how to address. Basically, we are trying to document and address the HLP rights abuse to the vulnerable communities, and also enhancing the capacity of local authorities on land management and HLP rights. How we are doing it? As I said, we are trying now to map and document the HLP rights violations. It is important in the community to document the violations. Without addressing and mapping the violation, it's very difficult for us to resolve HLP rights. We came up also with another approach, which we are using the social tenure domain model, STDM, I will explain later on about that, where we are also mapping the HLP claims. We have been authorized and working very closely with the government and cadastral offices where we were authorized to map HLP claims and register them in our system in order to evidence them and also give kind of security of tenure by issuing occupancy certificates. It's a land occupancy certificate that secure their tenure rights through the claims that they have been submitted to UN Habitat. Of course, we work also with the community, raising sessions. We work with the community leaders, with institutions, but I would like to highlight that also we have another approach where we basically work with female only, having female only awareness raising sessions in order to educate them on HLP rights. Why we do female only? Because often females feel more comfortable expressing themselves, expressing their concerns, and want to learn more about how to access HLP rights when there is only women. We had tried to combine, and often we see that due to their traditions and different cultural norms, they are not very well and feel comfortable to explain themselves. So through the female-only awareness raising sessions, it worked very well, where many of the women are seeking legal assistance in order to claim their HLP rights. And basically, we do also provision 2 minutes, yes. Provision of well, Jim, it's very difficult to explain in 2 minutes. But anyway, we provide also legal assistance on obtaining HLP documentation. We have also another component on mediating and resolving HLP disputes between women and also the family members. We have what is, I think, is very important for you to know, that we have established a women HLP network. It's a led women network where basically these legal experts that are women work with the community, with the women, on providing them legal assistance and educating them on HLP rights. And this network also serves for other NGOs to join and work with us to protect women HLP rights. We have also established a legal alliance with the ministry, which also is a very good one, that basically ministry is part of this initiative on supporting the women on protecting the HLP rights. And of course also through the STDM we also establish and train local authorities on HLP rights. I have less than 1 minute according to Jim, so I will be very quick in terms of how we use the social tenure domain model, but I will just quickly, I don't know, Jim, it's not working. You have to give me more minutes, I'm sorry. And that's not my fault. It's very important also for the participants to see also how we work with the government, local authorities, also explain the context and what kind of tools we use on mapping the claims, registering the claims, and also working on the different platforms to secure and register HLP rights. You have to go to the slide 10 so I can be very quick and wrap it up. Okay, so I can continue speaking, but it's go to the slide 10, please. Great. So here is how we do the enumeration, and we go through with the community. We go house to house, home to home, in order to make sure that we register all the claims that the community and the beneficiaries are interested to register. And we have quite a lot of interest of the women as well who would like to register. So we go in the field, we take the data, we upload in our server, we do the legal check of all the data information, issuance of the certificates, and you can see here is one of the certificates that is issued by UN Habitat. But also it is one most important thing, that it is validated by the community leaders, by the institution and authorities, to make sure that it is like not legal document, but semi-final document, where the government in the future is going to consider to upgrade these certificates into the formal title deeds, which I think it's something that really it's a great huge step for us in order to document HLP rights for the women and the beneficiaries. If you can go to the next slide, please. It's one of the cases